Don't be fooled by comic book market analysts. It's always been a great time to buy what you like. Hey there, I have an unboxing video for you today, and in this video I have a couple of orders that I had received from Heritage Auctions. One order I received a couple of days ago, and it reminded me that I had an order from months ago that I didn't bother opening, and I wanted to kind of maybe do a 2-for-1 in this video. I don't really have a good explanation as far as why I didn't open the original order. I think that maybe when I started to look at the books that I got in the particular grades and how some of the values had fallen since I had made the purchase, I was almost maybe a little embarrassed with myself that I had picked up the books. Sometimes that happens. You place an order and you feel a little regretful. And I don't know, something kind of makes me want to unpack the order, take out the books, and just quickly put them in my bins and try not to think about it. With Heritage Auctions, it being the platform that it is, I often talk about it as it being it's a dangerous environment for a comic book collector because these are really high end comics, keys, grails. Just if you're looking for that 9.8 or that high grade rare copy of something or another, not only will Heritage have it, you're going to pay for it. It's going to be very expensive. So I think that the first box that I will open was the last order I had placed several months ago. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was at home a little bit more than I wanted to be. And I don't want to say boredom set in, but I spent a little time on Heritage Auctions, and with the market slowing down, correcting, crashing, resetting, whatever terminology those comic book market influencer experts want to say, which again, I listen to it all. It's a bunch of noise as far as I'm concerned, because there's always an agenda and a narrative that they're pushing anyway. So anytime you see a YouTube video and they're talking about the market being down and trying to explain to you why it's down, but there's still some books that are hot and they're heating up, and there's clickbait for the market crashing. I mean, the internet is just littered with misinformation, and the comic book community and the comic book market is not immune to that nonsense. So what I like to do is just continue doing my thing. And I'm going to take advantage. If prices are lower, so be it. My favorite phrase that I talk about in terms of comic books and value and collecting is relative affordability. When the market's down, everything's down. So why not take advantage of some of the lower prices? And also, don't be shy about selling. If you want to continue to have the hobby pay for itself, are you going to get as much for your book as you once did? Maybe even 3 months ago, 6 months ago? Probably not. But you can certainly take the money that you would receive from a sale and apply it towards a book that should be at a discount. And if those books aren't, then stay away from them. One of my biggest complaints right now is the fact that we have retailer incentives and store exclusives and brand new books. They're all out there, and it's especially the exclusives. They continue to be pushed not just by the retailers, but these retailers will find channels, personalities, whatever you want to call it, and they will ask those personalities to advertise, which I don't have any problem with if that's what they want to do. If a channel or a show or is sponsored and so forth, good for them. But what I see is commentary about the market being down, but then also let me tell you about this Virgin exclusive variant limited to 1,000 copies that's $50 or $70, $75, $100, whatever it is, where we as collectors, we as buyers, consumers of comic books, we're not seeing any discount there. So we may be reducing our budget, but probably our income is staying the same. And honestly, brand new books, brand new exclusives, I'm not that interested right now because I have to be way more specific and strategic with how I spend my money. So let me unbox a couple of these orders that I got from Heritage. And it really is kind of night and day between what I paid for the first order and then probably what I could have paid for those books right now. So that's where some of the embarrassment kind of sets in, or some of the regret is that had I just waited a little bit, I probably could have got these books for a lot cheaper. In the second box that I will open, I think that's going to present a good example of taking advantage of these books being lower in this market that we're currently in. Call it whatever you want, a lull, a soft market. It doesn't matter to me. All I know is that for me, as somebody who studies comic books and the market and values and looks at trends and everything, I saw a couple of deals and I went ahead and jumped on them a couple of weeks ago. So let's get to the unboxing. And it really is, again, you can kind of compare really two different orders. And certainly I think if you're looking at kind of what I spent, if they're relatively about the same for each set, and you had to choose one, I think it's pretty clear which one you would pick. So let's get to the unboxing and see what I got. All right, here are the two orders that I placed with Heritage. And as you can see, this first one from January 18th, 2022. So it's been sitting in here this whole time. And again, I like the books that I ordered, but I think I was just disappointed in myself in that the value of these books just sort of had tumbled since January. And honestly, like I said earlier, I could have got them for a lot less. So let me go ahead and I'll put the other one aside here and go ahead and unbox the first one. Right, so with Heritage, you get lots of bubble wrap here, so everything is packed super securely. And I set all of this bubble wrap aside to reuse it later. And I gotta be careful when I'm opening this because these are raw books. So, what did I get in this first order? It is a lot of Silver Age Avengers books. And let me see if I can get it out of the outer bag. One of the things that I like to do, I would say primarily my main focus on Heritage is raw books. That seems to fit better within my budget, and I feel like if I can stay in that 6.0 to 8.0 range raw, very rarely do I dabble under 6.0 in terms of books that I'm looking for, then I feel like it's worthwhile at that point for me. So this was a lot of Avengers books. It should be 53. Let's see here. Nope. It goes way back. Okay, so 40. They're a lot out of order. 49 through 56 is the run. And what I love about getting lots like this, and I'll just kind of show you one by one as I talk over them, is a lot of times the way that Heritage Auction, really any auction house works, is that the books will go up for auction and then it moves fast. Obviously with eBay, you have a really long time to kind of look at an item and then the bidding picks up at the end, and Heritage is no different. But what's interesting is just that the window with which you have to decide whether you're going to bid on something, it's very, very intense, it's short, and you have to do your homework. I haven't done this in a while, but if you go way back in my channel, I have some preparing for Heritage auction videos. And I know, shocking, I put everything in a spreadsheet, but what I do is I go through and I can look at the lots ahead of time, and then I kind of map out and decide, what do I want to bid, what do I want to tap out at, and so on. And what I have found that is the actual lots of books, they I don't want to say bidders are lazy, but it's almost just like they just maybe ballpark the average. So in this case, this is like a 7-book Avengers Silver Age lot, and I think they just ballpark it and say, oh, also these were graded as fine. So the average grade, so I have to go through and grade each one. For the most part, unless I'm going to get them slabbed, I just leave them as 6.0 in my inventory and when I add them to cover price. And I think what happens is people will say, okay, for a 6.0 lot of 7 Silver Age books, maybe it's, I don't know, $40 a book. They'll just say it, and then obviously with it being a 7-book lot, then $280 is what I'm willing to pay. Sometimes, not in this particular run, of course, as I'm explaining it, but sometimes there are keys or tougher books to get in high grade and so on. And you can find them just kind of mixed into the lot. And really all I do is I pop open the individual auction item, I go to the bottom, and I read the text at the bottom just to make sure there's no additional disclaimer that says something like water stains. So if what I don't like is they will, let's say there's a lot of very fine Silver Age X-Men. And it'll say 8.0 and everyone gets all excited. But then down in the notes it says, oh yeah, on these 3 books out of the lot, there's water stains. But then they list it as very fine 8.0. So that's what I don't like about Heritage is it's this sort of asterisk or qualifier that they put on their books. And I'm like, no, a book with a water stain is not an 8.0 unless it's pristine otherwise, and they're not. So anyway, this is a great cover. That's awesome. Love that one. So we got Goliath, but pretty good looking books, like great color, typical of what you'd see, a little bit of chipping at the bottom. You do see a fold with a crease there, but corners like really nice and sharp. I love these. This is what I like. This is what I said at the beginning. And yes, had I waited 6 months, I could have got these for less, I'm sure. How much less? 10%, 15%, 20%. But the thing is, with everything, and I'm not trying to compare the comic book market to like the housing market, but the housing market is currently, I guess, not crashing. It's holding up. And it's because there's a supply issue. People want homes. There's not enough homes. So the values are certainly sitting there. And I believe that we are going to experience a correction in the housing market. With comic books, it's interesting. So we're talking about a down market and so forth. But the supply for high grade golden, silver, and bronze age books, it just continues to diminish. So while I'm looking at the trends and looking at the values of these books and going, well, there aren't any hard and fast keys in here. I mean, Avengers 50 being at the 50th issue. But the fact that they're 6.0 and in great shape, I don't see like tons of color breaking in here. I mean, like even this one, unless I flip it over and there is a hidden water stain, like it's possible that this even gets up to a 6.5 or a 7. I love these books. I've always loved them. I was never able to get them until I was much older, and now I can add them to my collection. I'm not planning on getting a full Avengers run, but this is just fantastic. It's great. Look at this. Look at the colors on these. You got green, purple, got Black Panther back there, the Grim Reaper on a solid yellow cover. So the point is, I'm going to continue to buy what I like. And I love these books. So these are the kinds of pickups that I like to get from Heritage. Again, looking at the trade, I know it's tough in the bag, but it's a little dirty. So great opportunity for a press and clean experiment and candidate on this one. So I'll buy these not all day long. It was a little pricey. And I'm going to go ahead and open the second order. And they weren't exactly the same price, but ballpark roughly kind of the same. but not quite. But just kind of go with it in terms of like, if you had the means to purchase a 7-book Silver Age lot of Avengers where they're non-keys versus what I'm about to show you and open, then I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments. So let me get this one open. All right, I've got it buried under that bubble wrap there. So let me go ahead and show you the raw book. So the second order was 1 raw book and 1 slab. And the first of the 2 is Tales to Astonish, number 63. This book was listed in fine condition from Heritage, and a great Giant Man and Hulk combo. And this book is a key book because it is the first appearance of one of Hulk's arch enemies, if not his main nemesis, the Leader. So this is the Leader's first appearance, and this was published in 1965. Now, what I'm seeing is there's a bunch of tearing right there in the spine, right there. So I don't know if this is a true 6.0 or not. The Avengers books that I opened, those were all listed in fine condition. And honestly, like if I'm comparing, let's say, Avengers 51 and just looking at the spine, I understand that it's not just about the spine, right? But just looking at the difference in terms of quality, you see the brittleness of the Tales to Astonish. Now, what it does have going for it, the top is pretty crispy. But just, yeah, and I think there could be also a little bit of a tear. I mean, obviously, definitely a color break, but is that a tear as well? I'd have to take it out and grade it. So I feel that I got this at a great deal. So I'm okay, even if it does slip into the 5 or 5.5 range, which honestly, I think it's probably more likely to be a 5, just looking at some of the very specific defects that I can even catch through the bag. I mean, that spine is just shredded there. I'm hoping that the cover is still attached and everything to the staple. It does look to be okay there, but it's a key issue. If you're a Hulk fan, if you believe the Leader may show up, and now the focus is capturing the bubble wrap, but if you believe the Leader might show up in other properties like She-Hulk, who knows, then this is a book that could pop, but I love it just for what it is. It's a great Silver Age key. And, you could argue, is this high grade? It's probably more mid grade. And I get that. But even so, again, the supply of these, it's slowly drying up, right? Myself as a collector, now I own one of these in my PC. There's one fewer of those out there on the market. So let me put that aside and get to the slab. Now, I don't want to talk too much about it. I just want to show you what it is. But this is a book that I have been searching for my entire collecting career. And what was interesting about this is I didn't really know what the value was. This is a signature series slab. And I didn't know what the value was. And so I kind of had to do some estimates. But what I ended up doing is tracking it as just a blue label 9.6. And when I went to make the purchase and put in my final bid, I was just like, well, this is what the 9.6 blue label goes for. This is what I'm comfortable paying, and just kind of stuck to my guns and let my high bid just sort of play out. And I ended up winning this auction. So let me just show you the book, because I'm so excited to finally add, whether you consider this to be a key or a grail, it doesn't matter to me. It's a book that I wanted. It's the first appearance of Rogue in Avengers Annual number 10. And I'm going to slip this out of the bags here so I can see all of the slab. And what's great is this is signed by Michael Golden, Al Milgrom, and Jim Shooter. And there it is. And this is a CGC 9.6 white pages signature series, Avengers Annual number 10. It was on my top 10 of like key books that I wanted to acquire and add to my collection, but also books that I think are going to continue to have relative value in the market, because I believe that Rogue is too important of a character, where she has history with the Avengers. She obviously has history with the X-Men, and I just feel like she is going to be a character that is going to continue to be pivotal. She even has ties to Captain Marvel. So I feel like she's such a well-rounded character, and it's her first appearance right here, along with Madeline Pryor. So you get that as well. The only thing I would say, it's not signed by Claremont, and so I feel like it's possible that people who were in the market for this book, certainly in a signature series, they saw this and said, "Oh, it's not signed by Claremont, so I'm going to pass." Okay, well, I'll take it off your hands then. So I can't wait to hang this on the wall. It is, to me, one of my grails. X-Men 101 was one of the first ones that, again, people would say, well, no, that's really more of a key. It's not a grail. It's a personal grail. Avengers Annual 10 was a personal grail as well. So I'm super excited to add this to the collection. I can't wait to display it, and this is going to stay up on the wall for quite some time. I can't believe I'm actually holding this book that I had searched far and wide for so long, and I had tracked the price and watched it over the last 2 to 3 years continue to climb in value, to the point where I was just figuring that I would never own it, that it's out of reach. And now, with the market being what it is and coming down and providing some relative affordability, I'm able to get access to some books like Avengers Annual 10 and some others, and some of these other Silver Age keys, non-keys, back issues, high grade, mid grade. It's something that I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to essentially continue to collect comics in now an era that we're moving into, that it could be called many things. It could be called the discount era. I don't know what it will be yet, but right now, what I've noticed in the market is that a book like that, I don't want it. It didn't slip through the cracks, that's for sure. But for what that book should be selling for, I feel like I got a real bargain. So between those two orders, so you've got your stack of Silver Age Avengers, or you've got a shot at acquiring this book. Which one would you take? Which one would you pick? I would trade that entire stack, and I would maybe even argue that I would also put that in the stack, and I would trade all of those books again for this one. I could be biased because I love Rogue. I love the yellow label. I think that this one too, in a yellow label, you could argue the blue label matches this really horrible ad at the top of these books. But I love how the yellow label blends in with the yellow down here and the red and the yellow in the trade and here. And I mean, it's gorgeous. I love it. So I'm going to end it here. I'm going to get this book hung on the wall. But I feel like it's a good comparison of some of of maybe some decisions that you would have to make with your money, and being more strategic with how you spend money here going forward in this new era of the comic book market. I think that you can't deny that the values have changed. And I think it's a good time to evaluate what you're spending your money on, what books you want to collect, how you want to collect, because there's a lot of opportunity in this market right now. But at the end, no matter what, in a market that is blazing hot, or a market that's really cooled off, you want to find books that you love to add to your collection at the right price. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.